Hey, what's up? Run, pure mofo and sports. I don't know why JT's smiling so much. I'm smiling because DC has story time for us today. I was absolutely shocked when I found this out. We do have a baseball slate too, and I believe this is a free show. So hit the subscribe button, that little red thing in the bottom corner, and hit the like button. It's the thumbs up, and then we're all good. I mean, JT, normally I go to you first, but DC's got story time. What's up, buddy?
DC's time.
Why do you have like a shit-eating, scared grin on your face?
It's been a rough day for DC, man. I'm at my wit's end over here. You know, I was out for my semi-daily, semi-weekly bike ride today, 14 miles from home. You know, training to beat the siege in a boxing match, cruising down the path and fiddling with my watch, right? And boom, a branch is in my way. I swerve off the path. I hit a rock, wipe my bike, completely blow out my front tire. And I'm like a mile and a half from where I could even call an Uber. So that was an embarrassing way to start my day, a painful way to start my day. I'm all good, but a little scraped up. And then just recently, it got worse than that, believe it or not. I mean, that's a pretty bad start to a day, but it just got worse. I have a friend visiting tonight for the weekend. He's a fairly big time college soccer referee. He's refereeing the Air Force game tomorrow. But anyway, so he's coming into town, and you know I sent him a troll tweet or a troll text rather. I say, "You're double vaxxed with the booster, right? Otherwise you can't come in our house." He doesn't fall for it, but you know he responds, "Yeah, I've got all 4 vaccinations, whatever." Anyway, lame vaccination joke. He sends that to his wife, who I know fairly well. He lives back in Minnesota. You know, I haven't seen her in a couple of years. So he sends that to his wife. She responds, "Who is us?" She doesn't know I live with my girlfriend now, who she's never met. He tells her, "Oh, Pete lives with his boyfriend now. I thought I told you about that." And she responds, "That's so great. I never knew. Were you surprised? When did he tell you?" And so she just bought it. Like there wasn't even anything.
You're not gay. Okay.
Well, no.
Good.
So it was just, you know, a little shocking that she wouldn't be like, I didn't think there was any way she would buy it. I mean, who would think that about me? So two bad things to start my Friday. So, you know, ready for some baseball to kind of get my mind off.
Then you're stuck with me for an hour. You're really fucked.
Yeah.
JT, what's going on, pal? How the hell are you? You got a shit-eating grin on your face too.
I'm doing great. DC told me about his bike accident, and I gotta be honest, this has been a thing to watch. His transformation from a guy who is leading DC. You would say you led a pretty sedentary lifestyle, right? You weren't out working out. You were, and now the guy he's preparing to run a marathon. He could box almost anyone. I say almost anyone in the industry. And he told me about his accident. I said, "Dude, you break anything?" He said, "No, I just scraped half the side of my body." So I got a little because I remember when I was a kid and I used to ride my bike because, you know, you ride at those distances. I told him it hurts my ass too much. I can't do it. So it's been a thing of pride to watch him get into this kind of, I guess, this kind of shape. And I hope it doesn't deter you, DC, from getting right back out there tomorrow morning, maybe even after we finish the show, go for a quick run and get that bad memory, get right back on the horse.
I was a little upset. You know, the thing I was most upset about, other than I got to, you know, repair my wheel and everything, was that my workout was cut short, right? I didn't get the 14 miles biking back home. I almost laced up the sneakers and went for, you know, a quick 5-6 mile run to make up for it when I got home. But I was like, nah, I got a show with Holden today. I'll just crack a White Claw instead. So that was a few hours ago. If I'm a little loose, that's why.
Yeah. JT, what you drinking, pal?
It's Friday. We got a week left, Holden, and a week left of. I'll tell you, I've had a great week. We did the Old Guys podcast on Tuesday. I got to work with Bobby Gomes last night. Get to work with AP and Tambo on Sunday, and I just have to tolerate you for one more week, and then I only have to work with you once during the NFL season. So I'm just having a tasty little. Why
are you so mean?
A little preview. Liz, I love you. It's all out of love, right, DC?
Yeah,
it's a little preview of what's to come on this show. I'm having a tasty Coors Light. I don't think there's anything light about Coors tonight. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes.
If there is one person at RPS that I would want to go out and beat the shit out of people with, it would be you. So I don't know why you got to take shots at me.
I'm not.
Okay.
Did I take a shot? I mean, you attack me all the time on here. It's out of love. It's out of love. You look nice. You look nice, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had to do my hair today. Let's get into this, guys. Oh, subscribe, bottom right hand. AP's in the chat. What's up, AP? And make sure you hit the like button. And that's all we need. That's all that we need. It is the Friday happy hour stream. Stevie, hopefully you're feeling better today. Oh boy. JT looks like he's getting topped off screen. 171. Is that true?
I mean, I would love for that to be happening, but concentration would be an issue. So it's not.
Let's get into this slate here, as we were not supposed to have story time. DC had 15 games, but then he said he had a story. And I must say, it was pretty good. It's going to be a challenge for you, though. You gotta stay strong, DC. Fix your bike or just go running. I think you've got it in you. Okay.
I'll be all right.
All right. Very good. What do you want to do pitching tonight? By the way, I got to play Juan Soto. Juan Soto is best hitter in the world. What do we want to do with pitching tonight? We got the Beebs. The Beebs is back. Cole, Montas. Is this a night where we got to get one, if not two of the big three up there?
Go ahead, JT.
Yeah, on a 15-game slate, it's very interesting because normally on these slates, especially with a guy like Garrett Cole, you would see that his ownership would be reasonable for the type of slate. It's not. It seems to be that the field is underweight on him. Maybe it's his last start against the Indians. Maybe it's the price point 10-8. The Red Sox have been hot, but certainly Garrett Cole, a different pitcher than Taijuan Walker and whoever the other skeletons are that the Mets threw at the Red Sox over the last couple of days. So even though I do think I'm leaning more towards paying down a pitcher, I'm definitely not playing Shane Bieber in his first game back. There's no reason for them to pitch him, and I'm not paying the $11K price tag on DraftKings for a guy who's going to pitch 3 innings. Montas is, I guess, ordinarily would be interesting, but they priced him up at 10-6. And even though I don't necessarily like hitters in that ballpark, the Astros have been very, very hot on this West Coast stretch. So I think there's some value down low. There's a couple of pitchers that are going to be a little bit under-owned and that I think are underpriced. And then you get to Logan Gilbert, who has been on a really good stretch after a really terrible stretch throughout, I guess, the last 6 weeks before his last 2 starts. He's dominated this Angels team in 2 starts this season, but on a 15-game slate, Logan Gilbert looks like he's going to be 40% owned. He's going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. We saw, I mean, there's 2 examples yesterday about why getting different works, right? You saw that Aaron Nola at 77% ownership gave up 6 runs to the Pirates. And then you saw Christian McCaffrey at nearly 91% ownership get hurt on the first drive of the game. So do I really want to play Logan Gilbert, even though historically this season it's been a good matchup for him, if he's going to be 40% owned when there's 30 options? The answer is probably no. And I didn't touch on Sonny Gray. I got to leave some things for DC to talk about, and I'll let him get into it.
Barrios, Gibson, and Sonny Gray, huh? So we got to get DC to talk about. What's up, DC?
I'm not going to talk about baseball, just story time from DC. I'm sure that's
Please.
What everyone's here for.
I'm all for it.
I mean, starting at the top, Shane Bieber, just not an option for me, right? I'm with JT. I just cross him off right away. Just not going to get enough workload. Even the matchup's not that good. We don't know how effective it'll be. You know, even peak performance Shane Bieber at 11.3 would be a questionable play. So we'll start with that. Cole, I think, is a good play, right, at 10.8K. I'm with you, JT. I don't think you'll see that many people go to him. What you're going to see today as kind of the chalk build, JT nailed it, I think, is Logan Gilbert, right, at 6,400, and then people want to go to the Giants. They've got a team total over 7. Those two kind of pair together naturally. Now, I personally think sometimes, you want to eat the chalk. You think the chalk is super good. You don't always think that. That's kind of how I see it today. Part of that is because I never left the Logan Gilbert train, right? I was kind of on him when he first came up. He struggled his first 2 starts, but I was saying, man, I think this guy has it. He had a really good run. Then he had a hiccup, but I was talking him up these last 2 starts too, where he faced Houston 3 out of 4 games. He's had a rough schedule, but the stuff has been outstanding, and he's rebounded nicely with 2 good performances in a row. you're not really worried about the pitch count. The matchup is good. He's dominated this team in the past, and he's 6,400 on a night where there are some really, really good offenses. So sometimes, like, the pitchers around him, I mean, are guys that, they're averaging like 4 fantasy points per game on the season. They might get 2 or 3 innings. And you've got Logan Gilbert, who's in my opinion, like a legitimate stud. I think he's, I don't know, if he was 9,400, right, 3K more than he is, I would take Logan Gilbert straight up over Jose Barrios or Nathan Eovaldi or Max Fried tonight. So the discount is so high on the price that I'm kind of willing to eat the high ownership. But I'm with you, JT. I do think he'll be highly owned. I just think it's more than justified, I guess, that where his ownership. So we don't disagree really on much. Just maybe just conviction on how good of a play he is. I don't know.
You guys talk about, sorry about that, JT. Go for it. I just want to hear about FanDuel, but go whatever you're going to say, and then we can get into FanDuel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not a question of, is this a good matchup? It's not a question of, is the price right? It's a question of, if I know that, like you, I'm interested in Coors tonight, and we'll get more into that later because I think it's an interesting game to talk about. But do I also want to take the highest owned pitcher with him? I'm absolutely on the same page as you. I'm not playing Barrios. Whether this is a home or a road game for him, I don't know. I just never play him on the road. He's on the road here technically. And I think there are too many lefties in this Minnesota lineup. We saw that he had a decent game against them in the Sky Dome. I think it's maybe a slightly different outcome. Don't think he gets blown up, but I just don't think that at his price, he makes a whole lot of sense for me personally. And I'm not playing Max Fried at 9-2. Sorry, I don't care how bad the Padres have been tanking. And I think there's 2 ways to look at that Yankee and Red Sox game, right? There's one way you could say, oh, Eovaldi has really, I guess the word for it is dominated the Yankees throughout the season. Cole has been up and down against them. He got lit up by them. He dominated them. So you could look at that and say, well, maybe this will be a 3-2 game. You could also look at this and say, hey, there's some weather. Maybe I want to stack that game up because nobody else is going to do that on a 15-game slate. And maybe this is the game where the hitters get to them, because that's a playoff game. I mean, that's a very intense atmosphere, very interesting. So with me and Gilbert, it's simply that, do I want to pay the 40% ownership tax on him? And I don't know. I've got, 30, what do we got? 47, 53 minutes, 52 minutes to make that decision. So I'll make it on here all with you. It'll be great.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering how low I can go on FanDuel. I mean, we're talking about all these guys. Gibson kind of sticks out at 8-6, right? You're paying up for 11 for Cole, 10-7 for the Beebs. Like, how low can I go on FanDuel? Realistically, it'll keep me in a tournament. Could I go
Definitely
down to 6-4 in Yarborough? Huh?
You're definitely not here. FanDuel, Bieber's definitely, he's not in consideration. I mean, they've said, I think it's maybe 75 pitches. I mean, if you're the Indians,
how low can I go
out there and break a sweat?
How low can I go?
I think, I don't know. That's a good question, because I think that at his price point on DraftKings, Carlos Hernandez is interesting to me in a matchup against the Tigers. Help me get those bats and Coors. Would I play him on FanDuel? I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't, I think on FanDuel, Logan Gilbert may be lower owned on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings, DC. Is that right?
Well, I mean, for sure he will, with only one pitcher to choose from. Yep. But even if you cut it in half, I think he'll be lower, a lot lower on FanDuel with a higher price point, right? 8,200 on FanDuel. Holden, you said, how low can you go? I mean, he is kind of the natural stopping point for me. I mean, I said I would take him straight up over, guys like Jose Barrios in that mid 9K. So I have no problem playing Logan Gilbert on FanDuel. I fully expect him to pitch really well here. I think he can absolutely contend for the top scoring pitcher on this slate. Tyler McGill, I think you could play on FanDuel. He's 7,800, another talented rookie pitching for the Mets. The matchup with Milwaukee is not as good, in my opinion, as Gilbert's, but I'm a believer in McGill too. He's another guy that I think could deliver. But beyond that, I wouldn't go, I don't think, any lower than McGill. I don't see anyone below that I feel confident can give me, on FanDuel, you want the 6+ innings, right? You want the quality start to run out of players that realistically could give you that. So Gilbert, McGill on FanDuel would probably be the lowest I would go personally.
McGill is fine. Okay. Very good, guys. Remember, you're watching, so you don't have to remember, but hit the little red button, the right-hand side, bottom right-hand corner. if you've not already subscribed to the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel, we'd appreciate that. Also, the like button would be great. It's awesome you're still grinding baseball with us, but our football content is in full gear. Just remember, we got a ton of shows during the week. We got a ton of shows coming up. We got the Wood Show on Sunday, followed by the Final Countdown up to lock with me and AP and JJ and Tambo. So we got a great show there. Sundays from when you wake up till we got locked. Plus, we got core plays, not just for the main slate. We're doing early, main, late, like all the slates this year. We got all covered, all of it. So make sure you check it out. We got some great stuff going on here at Run Pure Sports. RPS Heater 25% off your first payment. Okay. DC, you handed off to JT last time, so I'll come to you first. You can hand it off if you want to, but who is your favorite stack tonight? Where are you looking? Are you going Coors?
Yeah, I am. I think we gotta circle back a little bit to pitching now.
Okay, let's go for it.
Yeah, because I don't know. I still don't know who JT is playing for sure. I think we're both kind of off those very 10K plus guys, right? Bieber, Cole, Montas. I'm not going there personally. You mentioned Barrios, just not trusting him on the road. He is interestingly back in Minnesota here, where he pitched so well there over the course of his career that's, there, you could, I think, play that revenge narrative. I think there could be a little something there, but the guy I really like here is Dylan Cease for the Chicago White Sox. Super, super talented guy who the last time I was on the show, I don't recall who it was with, but, they kind of pointed out Cease coming off that bad start against Boston, but they like him. And, I've kind of been off and on him all year. But man, this guy is peaking right now. Like the velocity is ticking upward and the underlying metrics for Cease just look absolutely outstanding. I know the White Sox are kind of, don't maybe have as much to play for, but I think I've talked about this with Brandon Woodruff the other night, a few other players where it's just too early to shut it down for most of these teams, right? For these kind of established, you can't just ramp it down, shut it down before the playoffs. You got to kind of keep going, right? Maybe the last start, you skip the last start or you give them 50, 60 pitches in the last start, but it's too early for that. And so I think Cease will get his full workload here. And it's just it's a play on the talent, really, right? The matchup against Cleveland is kind of average-ish, but a little bit colder. And that park does not play as well when it's cooler at night. So I really like Dylan Cease to kind of maybe smash here. I like the over on his strikeout prop. I think I saw it at 6.5. I really like that. And then I think he's in a great spot. So I think he's going to go lower owned. The White Sox aren't huge favorites, going up against Shane Bieber. They don't have a super low team total. The Indians don't. So I don't know, JT, your thoughts on Cease and what do you think on the ownership on him too?
Yeah, last Friday actually it was us. It was a show. Yeah. He was taking on the Rangers, and he wasn't going to be as highly owned as he's going to be tonight.
Oh, okay. I see a 7.5 strikeout prop. So yeah, he's going to be owned with that prop.
Yeah, because of him coming off of that start against the Red Sox. See, I guess a couple of things with Cease. One, I love the talent. 100% with you on that. I do think we've seen them. Even in that start against Texas, right? I think he got 6 innings and it was just, he punched out everybody in the last 2 innings, which got him to be, I think, the top or the second highest scoring pitcher on the slate. One thing, there's 2 things here. One is in this matchup, I don't expect him to go more than 5 innings. I just don't. I think that's where the White Sox are at. And the second thing is I've been looking at this a little bit and you could argue this either way, right? Say it doesn't matter, but it seems like these guys, after they face the Rangers, it's like then they have to face a real Major League Baseball team. and it's like, I can't just rear back and throw the fastball over the middle of the plate and no one's going to hit it. And there's a little bit of a letdown effect. Now, I don't mind the price. I don't mind the play at all on this slate. And like in 88 asked in chat, where are you seeing the Logan Gilbert ownership? Like in DM me, I'll feel free to share where I'm getting ownership projections from. But I'm seeing Cease as the second highest owned pitcher behind Logan Gilbert on DraftKings tonight.
So that's not.
It makes sense. I mean, the over 7.5 with juice on the over. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm only playing a few lineups tonight because I have a bunch of things that I need to do. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Cease is going to be where I go. To me, I'm thinking of the build I'm focusing on right now is staying Logan Gilbert or a little bit above and a little bit below for my starting pitcher too. And then kind of stacking that Coors game and adding a one-off that we'll get to here as we go through some of these games or positions.
Yeah.
If we go game by game, we'll have to do it pretty quickly, but I think we can get there. So that's the build I'm looking at. And then I'm going to play three lineups in smaller dollar. And one of those is going to be a game stack of Boston, New York, just in case we get that crazy shootout up there.
It's,
just in case.
I was pretty excited for this slate. I'm starting to get less so because, like my process, I try not to worry too much about, ownership, what other people are doing until I've kind of completed my own process. And then it's like, okay, at that point, maybe it was between two guys and we think, or I learn that one of these guys is going to be double the ownership and maybe you pivot to the other guy. Like today, I was like pretty fairly locked in on Gilbert and Cease, but and the Giant stack, right, in Coors Field. But then, we're talking through this, JT, and it's like, well, looks like I have the number one owned pitcher, the number two owned pitcher, the highest stack. Like that's not where you want to be, right? It can still work out, but it's not.
They all go off. I mean, we've seen, and there's been nights, right? And I think probably the best person I've ever seen at doing this is Big T, where sometimes I'll look at his core and see, oh, wow, he's got a highly owned Yankees or someone else, right? Reds, I think a couple of times. And he makes the point that, hey, when there's a slate and there's a real clear number one offense, why would you want to get different, right? Get different at another position, play the seventh hitter or the eighth hitter or the ninth hitter or two of those guys, right? He's done that with the Rays a bunch of times and it's been profitable. Here, I think there's enough concerns with just a week, 8 days left, 10 days left in the season with some of these pitchers and their upside. Now, it's a different risk with Cole and Eovaldi, where if they're pitching well, those managers are going to let them go all night long. But it's also a scenario where they're priced up, the teams are familiar enough with each other, and it's an environment where they're fighting. They're fighting to get into that and keep that hold on the wild card position. So it's a pretty interesting slate for pitching. That's why I think for me, I'm gonna. And the other thing, we talked about it before we got on with the Rockies. You say, why would you be all that interested in the Rockies? Well, the Rockies don't seem to give two shits whether or not they make the playoffs. They have no problem losing every game they play in May, June, and July. You start playing games the end of August and September against playoff teams, and they have a chance to screw with a team's playoff positioning or keep someone out of the playoffs. They're the best team in baseball. It is the craziest thing I have ever seen.
True.
I absolutely love that game tonight.
Okay. Very good, guys. We can get to the offense, guys, in the premium chat and ladies. We'll get to your questions too here in just a minute. If you want to go game by game, JT, we can do that. I have no problem with it. I'm just going to ask you, both you guys, just a question for myself because everything's really about me. I need a utility 3,100 or less on FanDuel. So if you get a second to go find someone at 3,100 or less on FanDuel, actually, no, 2,900 or less, 2,900 or less on FanDuel, or maybe I just need to rebuild it this time. I really like my lineup.
You should be able to find someone at 2,900 or less.
Yeah, like either go way down to Brad Miller, or do you like Josh Rojas? He's horrible. Fuck that. I'm not messing with him, but I'm just sifting through this here. I don't see anything I love, but I think there are a lot of pieces tonight. Nicky Lopez? No.
Nicky Lopez. Brian Reynolds, I think, is a good player at 2,900.
Brian
as a one-off for the Pirates. Yeah. There's some options.
All right, cool.
Nick Solak. Yeah.
Nick Solak.
Yeah, I like the Rangers a little bit tonight.
Ooh. All right. Well, let's get to the offense here. And we'll start. If you want to just say, I got nothing in this game, I don't give a shit. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Guys, Philly's got a 5.5 implied team total. What do we got here? Anything?
Yeah, we didn't really talk much about Kyle Gibson, but he'll have some ownership too, right? 7,900 on DraftKings. Big favorite here. Minus 235 are the Phillies against this Pirates lineup that is, it's It's not good. So Gibson's been solid all year, coming off, I think, a pretty good start. So yeah, I mean, Gibson, he's got to be on the list. You know, if you're listing 4, 5, 6 guys, I think you'd be kind of crazy not to include Gibson on there. So yeah, I don't love the Pirates. I know I just mentioned Reynolds. Like, he's 5K on DraftKings. He's 2,900 on FanDuel. I think he's more of a 5K type quality hitter. Matchup's okay, so that's why I mentioned him on FanDuel. But yeah, Gibson's a good play. And then, I mean, I think the Phillies are interesting too, right? They've been kind of hurtful too. I think me and AP have been on the wrong side of them a few times recently. I know I have. But still, this right-handed power, I mean, Segura, Realmuto, McCutchen, and then, you know, Bryce Harper in the middle of it all against Sam Howard, who doesn't appear to have anything, a bad Pittsburgh bullpen. So I think right away, a pretty decent game to target.
JT, Phillies?
Yeah. Howard's going to go, it looks like 1 or 2 innings, and then you're going to get, you know, a number of different arms that aren't major league caliber here. One thing I'll say about the Pirates, we saw it again a little bit last night. The power was a bit of a surprise, of course, against Aaron Nola. They don't really strike out unless they're facing one of these, you know, power pitchers that can blow the ball by guys, and that's not Kyle Gibson's game. So 7-9, the price is fair. The matchup is fine. What you're hoping for here is to get some length out of him, because you know that Joe Girardi is not looking forward to going into that bullpen. So don't mind it. Don't mind the Phillies call.
DC, you said you were on maybe a couple Rangers here. Rangers, Orioles, both teams, 4 3/4 total here is what we're looking at. What do you like about Texas tonight?
I mean, mostly it's just the big park upgrade, right? I mean, this team usually has to play in their own kind of crappy hitting ballpark in Texas, or they got to face the Astros pitching staff, or they got to go out west, right? And so you get Camden Yards here, and then you get a horrible starting pitcher, right? Alexander Wells, especially against right-handed hitters, just not major league caliber. A horrible bullpen, the worst bullpen in baseball behind him. You get the full 7 innings. You get nice, cheap guys. It's just, I know the Texas offense sucks, right? I'm not really playing these guys much at all, but listen, when you get like the best or one of the best possible spots, you know, these guys are still sort of major league hitters. The Rangers are. So the ones that are, you know, Kiner Falefa, Adolis Garcia, Nick Solak, I think all these guys are decent plays against Alexander Wells and Baltimore. You know, if you need some salary savings, if you're stacking the Giants or the Dodgers, something like that. So yeah, I do like the Rangers a little bit here.
JT, anything on this one?
I can see the point, because Wells has been terrible, obviously, but the Rangers, even in good matchups throughout this week, I mean, they've just been, I don't know if they're not, you know, writing off the season, of course, but some of these guys may be worn down a little bit. My favorite play in this game is Cedric Mullins. I'm going to try and get Cedric Mullins into my main lineup here at 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
When you said utility, I was going to see if you could fit Seti in there, because
he's my favorite. I love him.
Yeah, he's a guy that I'm on tonight.
So you also said, JT, we got the Yankees and the Red Sox here. So you also said, just in case this game goes off, like, what if this game goes off? Who are you rostering?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have Devers in my main lineup.
Okay.
Rafael Devers is going to be my third baseman as a one-off from the Sox, and something that I think is something that I've come to look at a lot more over the last season and a half that I didn't as much previously. I look much more at matchups here, but when you see that both of these pitchers' projections are much lower than you would normally see them, and then Vegas has this game at a 4-6 and a 4-5 run total, that's not a typical Garrett Cole game. That's not a typical Nathan Eovaldi game. And those are kind of signs that say, hey, they expect some runs to be scored here. You would normally see this game as a 4-1, 3-8 DC, right? I mean, you would expect something like that, maybe even both team totals under 4. The fact that they're in the mid 4s and both pitchers project as points per dollar right around the middle of the pack, not a good sign for those pitchers.
I think that's a good call. I mean, nobody's going to go to this game in terms of at least the hitters, right? You'll see some people, I think, play a decent amount of people will play Cole, maybe a few on Eovaldi, but in terms of bats, I think you'll get this game super low owned. And, when you do this DFS stuff every day, sometimes the team totals, they just kind of, they stick out to you, right? You kind of raise your eyebrows a little bit. This is one of those games where you're just like, we're looking at a 9-team total, with Cole and Eovaldi on the hill. It's like, and nobody's going to play this game. It's like, maybe I want a little tastier. So, I'm not on it, but I like the call. You don't have to be right very often, right? And you're stacking the Yankees and the Red Sox here. Like if this game goes off and we get, 15, 6, I mean, it's Yankees Red Sox. It happens all the time. You could find yourself alone a top attorney, right? Because I don't think anybody's going to this game stack. So I think it's a good strategy for sure.
Boy, Devers has just eaten Cole alive this year, hasn't he? I'm just looking at BVP. I'm not a big BVP guy, but I get it.
Yeah.
Neither am I. It's just the pitch mix. He's got nothing to fool.
And Hernandez too. Kike.
Yeah. I think
it makes sense why Devers hits Cole, right? Like you got that quick bat, left-handed bat to the zone. Cole challenges with fastballs. Devers has been able to lay off the slider, right? And it's like, okay, so it's fastball versus one of the best left-handed swings in baseball. Of course, he's going to square that up sometimes.
The other thing, this Red Sox team, again, Garrett Cole much different than Taijuan Walker, the Mets bullpen, etc. But this team's been hot. This team's been hot this week.
It's been hot this week. Everything's hot. And you know what? The other thing I like doing, picking on Garrett Cole with the Rays, with G-Man Choi. It's like G-Man Choi and Devers. A couple guys he just has problems with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them too similar. They hit from the same side, but yeah. Washington, Cincinnati, guys. Juan Soto's the best hitter in the world. I'm just telling you that right now. You can take Vlad all you want. This guy is ridiculous. He's in such a zone. DC, how do you fade him? He's 6'3" on DK, but he's 4'2" on FanDuel. Like, how do you not play him?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's expensive for one. A lot of good plays. If you're stacking, it can be hard to fit him in, but clearly a great one-off play. And I got to say, tip of the cap to Juan Soto, too, who actually didn't have that good of a first half of the year by his standards. They ship out the whole team. The team sucks, and he just doesn't care, right? He's getting pitched around all the time, but doesn't matter. He puts up a MVP caliber second half. So I don't know. It would have been easy for him to just be like, well, team's shutting it down. I'll just dog it home, in these last couple of months. But I knew he wasn't going to do that. Like the day after they traded, he's out there doing his ball grab, wiggle on a close pitch, smiling every play. I don't know. I just love watching him play. So I like the Juan Soto call, Holden.
Anything from here? The whole game? Garbage.
I'm not interested in the game. The only reason the argument against fading or for fading Soto is I don't think that Sonny Gray has the courage to throw him a strike. So I don't know if he's going to see anything here tonight.
Yeah.
Especially
Sonny Gray will pitch around anybody, right?
Night,
so
right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, look at that. Hey, listen, all it takes is one reliever then to give him a strike. He's going to hit it out. He's still locked in. Tampa Bay, 5.5 runs. What we're looking at with them, Miami. Don't want to mess with them, but Tampa Bay going up against Cabrera tonight. JT, I get that there's some cheap bats in this lineup, especially at the bottom of the order, but actually, and Austin Meadows is 3-1. There's some affordable Rays tonight. Did they just not hit your radar?
Well, we haven't talked about offense, and I would say I just went in Discord and I saw that K Fallick's core is the Marlins with the two of the 4 highest expensive pitchers. So
wow,
if you want to go that route, go ahead. I personally won't be going that route. I do think you can play some of these left-handers against Cabrera. Cabrera, terrible numbers against left-handed hitters, Brandon Lowe and Austin Meadows. The game environment, I'm going to pass, and I'm going to be much more heavily invested in Coors. I think that's the way to go, and that's what I'm going to be doing.
DC?
Yeah, Edward Cabrera's got some real talent. So I just on a day like today with the Giants in Coors Field against a pitcher we know just absolutely sucks. It's hard for me to pull the trigger in a bad hitting environment against a pitcher that I kind of have some faith in a little bit. So I'm not on the Rays. Yarbrough, I think, is actually somewhat interesting. We just don't know how long he's going to get to pitch, but he's at home against this Marlins team. I mean, the upside can be there, and he does pull out big games, every once in a while. So that would be the main guy I would look at, but no, not super interested in this game.
Oh, do you like Kansas City or Detroit? Because we got those two teams too.
I like the Royals a little bit.
Yeah? Who?
I mean, the top half of the lineup plus Mondesi, just some upside there. I mean, I still think Salvador Perez, the top or maybe second highest best play catcher, just an absolute monster. I know, not an ideal hitting situation, but I'm not a believer in Mize. Benintendi, I think, is a good play at 3,800. Mondesi has as much upside as anybody. So I do think that individually the Royals make a lot of sense. And then you talk about, if they do well, you're getting into that Tigers bullpen. So sneaky stack there. I mean, they've got a team total just over 4. Nobody's going to the Royals, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him put up 4 or 5 runs on Mize in the first 3 innings. If that happens, the sky's the limit from there.
All right, JT Hayes.
I agree with DC. I think the Royals as a mini or a couple of one-offs there are interesting. I'm off the full stack, just the environment. And I do like, as I mentioned, Carlos Hernandez at 5.5. He's had a really good season. And, I think at that price point, he can get you, and he's showing upside to get into the 20s.
I feel like the Royals should be favored in this game. They're like slight favorites, but give me Carlos and Hernandez and the Royals hitters over. That's just
and Casey Mize is going to pitch his 3 innings, right? Because they're limiting these guys' innings. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing with Mize, is he's pitching 3 innings. No interest in the Tigers, except for I probably won't get to him but I do like the price point. I do like DC's guy, Akil Baddoo, but I probably won't be playing him tonight.
If I go out of order, I know I'm going to forget I'm going to go out of order anyways, because we got a question in the premium chat from Florida Click. Thoughts on the Mets against a tired Brewers bullpen? We've got multiple guys saying they like Baez tonight. So it's the Mets and it's the Brewers and JT Hayes. Can you give me a little lowdown here? And is Baez in play? And we're not messing with Milwaukee, right? Because McGill.
I don't love this game. It's just one of those things where I look at, and Lauer, we don't think of Lauer as a very good pitcher. I don't think he's a great pitcher, but he's been decent. He's been good enough. I think you can look at maybe a couple of these Mets as one-offs because they are underpriced. Certainly a full stack is going to be very, very low owned on this slate, but I don't know, DC, it just doesn't stick out to me. Even, when I looked at McGill's numbers against left-handed batters, that's something he's got to work on. I'm with you on the talent. It's been a rough ride for him against lefties, but I don't really want to play Colton Wong or even Christian Yelich on this slate. You got Escobar all the way down in the 6th hole. They're still running that, butterball with 2 legs, Vogelback out every single game. So I don't know. This isn't a game that I love. I could be dead wrong, DC. What do you think?
I'm with you there. Not too much interest in this game. I like the Mets hitters better. Javier Baez in particular, I think is the best play there, maybe followed by Pete Alonso. And then McGill, like I said, I have actually a little bit of interest in him as a kind of a super deep, super low owned GPP play. But generally when I'm higher on a pitcher, I think McGill is better than he's shown. I think, I'm just higher on him than the general public seems to be. That's not really a pitcher that I'm going to take hitters against on a 14, 15 game slate, right? Because I think he's good. And I think the ownership on the Brewers, while low, is still too high because I think it's just a tough matchup for them. So mostly an avoid on this game for me as well.
All right. We're going to avoid that one. Hey, I want to remind everybody, if you are a member and you're not entering the RPS Tournament of Champions, I don't know what you're doing. It's free. Our guys here at RPS are throwing their money in for the prize pool. DK's chipping in a little for the prize pool as well. Go to the NFL playbook. And at the top, usually you'll see DC scores on the baseball side there. Instead of that, DraftKings. There it is. RPS Tournament of Champions. Go check it out. Should be a blast. Love playing in it. Let's get back to why is everyone, Steve, why is everybody up on the Cardinals here? I don't, it's a 7-inning game, guys. Can you guys talk, JT, why are people talking up the Cardinals? Why are they interested in the Cardinals? The price?
So I'll tell you, no. The Cardinals have been demolishing the baseball. It doesn't matter who's pitching against them, with the exception, I think that game against Woodruff, they've just been so hot. And there is looks like a 17-mile-an-hour wind blowing out at Wrigley. There were a bunch of homers hit in this first game of this doubleheader. So I can see why people are interested. I can see where if you want to take a one-off or a mini stack of the Cardinals, I guess I get it. I generally avoid game twos of these doubleheaders, especially where a bunch of runs were scored in game one. And that's my own feeling. I'm not focusing on that game. That game is not, I'm not going to have any players from that game in the 4 or 5 lineups that I make. And that's just me. I know Davies is bad. You've obviously got Flaherty. I mean, you could, if this were a 9-inning game, I'd be much more interested, right? Because Flaherty coming back from the IL didn't look right when he came back from his last trip on the IL. He's way overpriced here at 10-2. Davies has been terrible all season long. But that's why people are interested.
Yeah, well, I mean, the weather looked good, like you mentioned. It looked like the ball's flying there this afternoon. And then the thing that intrigues me most about the Cardinals is the DK algorithm. I haven't really noticed this before. I'm sure maybe it's happened. It appears to have discounted them for the 7-inning game, right? Tyler O'Neill's been red hot. He's been sitting at 4,400. Now you get him at 3,400. He already homered earlier today. He's red hot. So, like, they took more than the percentage off from 9 to 7 off of their DK salary. Dylan Carlson is 2,100, right? So they discounted everybody from the Cardinals. You get the good weather, you get Zach Davies, and you get maybe people are afraid of the 7-inning game. So I can get the love for it. I'm still tempted by Tyler O'Neill here.
And they do have a 5-team total. So think about this. I mean, they got a 5-team total for a 7-inning game. So I completely understand it. And maybe one of my 3 lineups will be a mini here of the O'Neill, Goldschmidt, who seems to hit a home run at least one every day this week. And Goldschmidt's a guy when he gets hot, it just lasts for like a week. So that's why.
Last 10 days of the Cleveland baseball team being the Indians. So get ready. It'll be Guardians soon. Enjoy it while you got it. Boys, Cleveland, the White Sox, 0 interest in this game. How about you guys?
Well, Dylan Cease is my second favorite pitcher.
Correct. So, 0 interest.
But other than that,
JT?
Yeah, I would say outside of Cease, I see some people talking up the White Sox in the industry, and I don't know. I think after Bieber goes out of there, this is a planned game, right? So they'll get Bieber, and then they probably have it structured of when in the lineup he's going to come out, so they know the matchups and stuff like that. That's a situation mostly to avoid. I'm not on the White Sox here.
You know what, JT, while we got a second, because we're going to get to the big game next in Coors, why don't you tell people about some of the stuff you and I do? The Wishbone Pod, which, by the way, viewership continues to rise, but we did that. That's kind of evergreen. I just got done doing a show called the Friday News Dump. What happens is the injury report comes out around 4 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 4 o'clock Eastern. And me and Tambo and Bobby Gomes basically look at all the injury news, the guys that are out, the guys that are game time decisions, the guys that are questionable, and give you different paths to take advantage of those injuries. So that's out right now. It's called the Friday News Dump. It's on the Run Pure Sports page here. And JT, you got to plug the Wishbone, man. I mean, I'm just getting a lot of feedback this year. It's nice.
Yeah.
You're the reason.
I don't think I'm the reason. I'm new to the Wishbone, and I was
so humble, JT. Always so humble.
I was honored to be invited, DC. I was honored to be invited into this circle, and they let me in on the Tuesday night Wishbone podcast. So that has been exciting. I do that with you guys. Thursday night, I record a piece that goes up on the Mayo Media Network on Friday morning, usually with Tambo. I got it. Do it with Bobby Gomes last night. So that piece went up earlier today. And then on Sunday now, actually, we were doing this on Saturday, the Off the Chalk show with Tambo and AP, but they decided, you know what, we need to get a little bit more content out there for our subscribers on Sunday morning. So once again, I'm going to be getting up at the crack of dawn on Sunday to bring with AP and Tambo, the Off the Chalk show, beginning this Sunday. It'll be at 9 o'clock. So that'll be a lot of fun. And in DC, we have to, this Tuesday, we have to record the pod. We have to do one more pod before the end of the season. We haven't done it in a little while. There was a couple of different conflicts. We got to do one more for Wednesday's slate. We just 1 week left in baseball. And We got to do it. So yeah,
we can do one last pod. I like that idea.
Gotta have more cowbell. Gotta have more of it. Give me one more pod, guys. Bottom right-hand corner, subscribe. Like button goes this way. Hit that. And then again, we just right now, if you're on our YouTube page, you will see all of our content. The podcast, the Wishbone, the Spread, the show that Hoop and the Boys do Monday, the show that we do Tuesday. I'm on a show with Keg and Mangone. We do a DFS and a bets talk with the picking winners. Yesterday was me, Hoop and Mangone. We do a cash show every Thursday. We do the cash show. So most of our shows are premium. Some are free. RPS Heater 25% off your first monthly installment. JT, you got a hard on for Coors Field. So take it from here. Giants with a 7.3 implied total. Wow.
Yeah. So Rockies obviously played the Dodgers tough in Coors. They're obviously much better at home. I use the word obviously way too much, obviously, and I just realized it again. But what I will say is the Giants still fighting for that division. They did clinch the playoff spot, but they have been hitting the ball as well. And they're getting a matchup against Peter Lambert. Peter Lambert is a guy who hasn't pitched in a long time because he had Tommy John surgery. Before that, he was a guy that we loved to pick on. This is his first start since Tommy John surgery. So historically bad to, well, let's be honest, both sides of the plate. And in particular, the left-handed bats here, Brandon Belt, Lamont Wade, La Stella leading off. You've got Yastrzemski even down there in the 8-hole. Very, very interesting. And then Alex Wood, whose pitches just don't break in Colorado. He's a guy that makes a lot of use of his breaking pitches. They don't work out there. Historically, they haven't. And like I said, this Rockies team is very unselfish when it comes to getting into the playoffs themselves, but then they get very greedy and they don't want to see teams do better. They don't want to see other teams get in or better their position. And that's why I think they've been playing some of these National League West teams so well over the course of the last month. Actually, since the second half, there's some reports I've seen and numbers where this Rockies team has been a much different team. They've gotten a little bit better pitching, not necessarily at home, but on the road. And even on the road, they haven't been half as bad, but at home, they've been great. It's a good matchup for them against Wood. The three big righties here for Colorado, my favorites in that lineup. I'm actually going to just use two in my main lineup in Rogers and Story, but certainly CJ Cron. Even Elias Diaz at home recently has been hitting the cover off the ball. And this Giants bullpen, a little bit tired after a tough series in San Diego, where unexpectedly Kevin Gausman gave up a bunch of runs. And yesterday, Logan Webb giving up a bunch of runs as well. So I think it sets up as we normally don't often, I'm not a guy who talks about Coors all the time and certainly played a lot less than I think some other DFS tournament players. But tonight, this is where I'm going to go and make my lineup a little bit different. I'm going to have some Rockies in there. And for that reason, that's why I'm off of the high price pitching.
Okay. So DC, do you want any pieces of this game? Are there one-offs or stacks? What's your thoughts on Coors tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I want the Giants side more. It's not some groundbreaking thing, right? They got a 7.3 team total, one of the highest on the year. But like JT mentioned, I mean, the last time we saw Lambert was back in 2019 pitching for the Rockies. I mean, he threw 89 innings, not exactly a super small sample size there. He had an ERA over 7, right? We're talking, the Orioles with the worst bullpen, collective ERA over 7. Like, he was just as bad as the entire combined Orioles bullpen back last time we saw him. Then he tears his elbow, out for 2 years. He's pitched like 14, 15 minor league innings, something like that. Now he's got to make his return against, one of the best offenses in baseball that's playing for a lot in Coors Field. He's going to get shelled, maybe he'll get a bunch of lineouts to the outfield and he'll survive. But Giants are going to square this guy up. They're going to get into that bullpen. He's not going to last long, even if he does pitch well. And I just think it's going to be ugly for the Rockies tonight, their pitching staff in particular. I don't mind the Rockies calling offense at all, but I think, these big team totals, you got to kind of decide, do you buy into them or not, right? Do you think that the Giants should be this high above everyone else on the slate in terms of team total? Today, I do, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Logan Gilbert. Do you buy that he should be the highest owned pitcher on the slate? Yes, I do. So when you can play the chalk when you say this is justified. They should be high owned. They should have the highest team total. And that's how I feel about the Giants tonight. So yeah, I want 4 or 5 Giants in my lineup, and I'm willing to go down with that ship for sure.
All right, good. We got that game out of the way. My question is, what's Ohtani's ownership tonight? Soto and Ohtani are just, I almost really want to have them in my lineup at the same time. We'll see if it ultimately works, but what am I getting Ohtani at tonight?
I would say on this 15-game slate, he's going to be, he'll be the superstar left out. I mean, you're going to get him pretty low.
Good. Would you play Ohtani, JT? Is there anyone from this game you're thinking? Ballpark, not great. It's a little bit wet in Anaheim too. They actually had to roll a little bit of the tarp out there. It was funny because there's pictures. The ground crew has to do this like once a year. So they're, but what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I don't know. If I was going to go that route with the Angels, I would go all in on at least a 4-man, just to take advantage of the leverage there. We saw that they did put up some runs against Lance McCullers last night. Did the same, I think, to Luis Garcia the night before. But ultimately, this is a team that just does not have a lot of power, is somewhat low on talent, even though Brandon Marsh is starting to look more and more like the prospect that they expected him to be. I don't know. I don't love this. I don't love this team. I just did put Logan Gilbert into my main lineup. So riding with DC on that, and we'll see how it goes. It was either him or Espino, and I went with Gilbert.
Okay. What do we got here? You don't want anything from here, do you, DC? Besides for maybe Gilbert? Nothing, right?
Yeah, just Gilbert for me.
Yeah. Doyers, you got any Doyers? Kate Fallick has some Doyers tonight. He's into the Doyers. And then on the other side, with Gonsolin out there, you'll have a whole bunch of arms. Can we pick any cheap Arizona guys and throw them in our lineup tonight? DC.
I don't love it. It would be the lefties at the top of the lineup, Rojas and Ketel Marte that you would play, but I'm not going there tonight.
What about you, JT Hayes?
Yeah, I don't love it. And typically I don't. I mean, I think the Dodgers are priced down some of these guys enough. We've seen them in the, high 5K range, 6K range, and Muncy down at 5.4. Interesting. Seager at 4.8 is interesting. Lux has been hot hitting in the 8-hole. He's 2.7, but overall, I like these other spots more than the Dodgers.
I mean, the Dodgers total is 6. It's on any other night, we'd be going salivating over the Dodgers. So are they not going to be as highly owned?
No.
I mean, again, 15-game slate. Maybe we don't have to worry as much about that, but
yeah, I think the Dodgers, from what I'm seeing, are going to be the second highest owned stack, but even still, it's under 20%. I mean, the Giants ownership is looking right around 20. Some pieces will be higher owned, right? I think you're going to get, maybe La Stella. It depends though, because even in our own Discord, people are talking about it. It's a point. It's a fair point. And something that I brought up before throughout the season is, well, this guy, Gabe Kapler, will pinch hit for these guys at any time.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good spot because, and someone brought it up in Discord, that, they don't have lefties in the pen in Colorado. So it's unlikely that they're going to have a need to take any of these big lefty bats out of the lineup.
Okay.
It's a good point.
Yep. We do have a couple more games, and then guys, questions. Actually, one more game to get to. Then we can get to all the questions you want. Do we want to mess with against Montas tonight? Anything interest you from the Oakland side against Belek, JT?
No, not really. I mean, not really. This park, I played the A's a couple of days this week, and it's just a park it's cold out there now. 60 degrees tonight. It's a huge park. I'll pass.
DC?
Yeah, I'm with JT. Not a lot of interest here on either side. Pitching just looks like a game I'll be fading for the most part.
You kind of sound depressed actually talking about it for a second. You look sad. You angry this game's even being played?
No, I'm just still simmering over all the bad things that happened to me earlier today.
What are you going to do about the bike, pal?
Yeah.
What's the plan?
It'll be all right.
It'll be okay. You're going to fix it yourself?
Of course, yeah.
I would like to say this. I know that it's baseball and a lot of the audience is tailing off. 74 likes is a fucking joke. Can you please get us to 100? I mean, good God. If for nothing less, that we've been grinding baseball out all season long. You're getting all these free shows toward the end. We even gave out some Coors earlier in the year. Just hit the like button. It's like we're doing this and we'll go home. We'll be, there's only 75 of them. Why don't they like us anymore? GTAs. It's so sad. But in DC, I think you got to just about every single question in the Discord already, right? Let's
I'm a hardworking man. What can I say?
Sam, who did I decide on for? I rebuilt my whole lineup, Sam. That's what I did. I said 2,900. I don't want to mess with 2,900. Screw it. And I just I rebuilt. I played Coors 2 times this year, and this will be the 3rd time tonight. I just wanted to jam some Giants in there, and I wanted to get a Dodger in there. Thank you, Sam, for the question. LWY 31, Gilbert Crawford or Barrios Culberson for DC?
First one by a mile for me.
Not even close?
Not even close.
Stevie Boynton brings up a good question. Me and Stevie are on Braves plus 700 to win the NL East. Do you guys think the Braves hold on to win the division?
I hope so.
A Braves fan.
I hope so. Not encouraged by yesterday in Arizona. Now they get a San Diego team that, while they've obviously lost a bunch of games recently, still an interesting weekend here. I mean, they're going to finish off a suspended game here first. Then they're going to play this game. So 2 outcomes here today. And if it goes the wrong way, and the Phillies, of course, have a cake matchup with the Pirates at home, Philly's the only team we're worried about because, we're not worried about the Mets. It gets real close all of a sudden. Tonight's a big night for the Atlanta Braves.
Huge series. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier too, like motivation really plays into this. I'm not saying that guys don't go out and take pride in their job, but we're sitting here with a week left in the season. Some of those veterans that have been out there just grinding all season. It's like, let's get the hell out of here. We're 30 games under 500. What are we doing anymore? We don't need this stuff. How do you fade Juan Soto? How do you fade Ohtani? Any other MVP candidates you want to give away a sneaky place today? Fuck you, Steve. Come on, man. Don't mess with me. It's Friday. I'm in a good mood. Yeah, don't mess with me, Stevie Boynton. What are you shaking your head for, JT? That's something you would say to Steve.
I'm laughing at you two guys going back at each other, flirting, if you will.
We're on the same side too. It's just the amazing thing. But yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for pointing it out, Captain Obvious. I like 2 of the best players in the game. Big deal. I mean, what's your problem?
Well, when those are the only 2 players you got to name them off.
That's right. They're literally the only 2 players I've heard of in Major League Baseball.
Impressive for doing a show all season long, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I faked it. All right, I've never seen a baseball game before. No, this is it's actually. Let me just give a plug to somebody right now, and we bust our balls a lot, but we generally like each other. Joey Work has been on probably a month heater now. Usually heaters last a week and a half, 2 weeks. This guy is literally sweeping the board multiple times a week. And if you're already a subscriber, just put in get bets and get the bet side. And if you want to check it out, get bets 25% off. I think you get it for like $15 for a month. The bet side is completely worth it. And it's always nice to check on to see who the guys are on the bet side, because it's going to help you DFS wise too. I mean, because everybody does their own research, but bettors do a little bit different research than DFS guys. And this is why I told Joey I thought he was going to be at DFS. All you got to do is dig a little deeper on the individual players. Those guys are broader, but I feel like they absorb a little bit more than most DFS players from the broader perspective or just some numbers. As DC, you're shaking your head like we're the names. We're digging into the names, each and every nitty gritty thing. I just think it's a great correlation and something where you could take something that they found and apply it to your DFS.
For sure. I mean, like you said, DFS players kind of digging into the names, like the Joey and the bets guys looking at it from a little bit of a broader perspective. But if you can find someone as hot as Joey is in baseball right now, and you look at who he likes for tonight, maybe that helps you narrow down to an offense that you could like, and then you can do your thing and look into the names, right? Look into those individual matchups, which players on this team maybe would perform if this bet was going to come in. And so far, or recently, especially, they have been for Joey. So yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it.
It is an absolutely just insane run he's on. The bankroll's been good. And the bankroll's been very, very DFS. Hey, how do you say this last name, JT? ASHIO. ASHIO. First name is Phil.
ASHIO?
Yeah, Phil.
Shio.
You don't want to play around, do you?
No.
You don't want to play along with that. They've been trying to get me all week, and they did half the time. That's the sad part. So whatever. Anyways, get bets 25. CDC, I told you we should have screwed around for an extra 5 minutes at the top of the show. Now it's awkward.
Well, I tried. I tried to prolong my story so that we wouldn't have any awkwardness to end the show. But
no, it's totally awkward. And now we got 3.5 minutes. We've been talking about baseball for 6 months. I mean, what else is there to say anymore? Is my question. What is there to say, JT?
I don't know if there's anything else to say. It's going to be an interesting slate.
Yeah, let's just sit here because we have to go. We have to go the full hour. Okay.
Should we sit in silence for the last 3 minutes?
I personally
stare into each other's souls. No, I'm not.
That would be funny, but I don't know if that would be good for viewership.
Kyle Sexton in the chat wants to know favorite DK GPP pitchers. Carlos Hernandez is a guy that I'm going to have a bunch of. And yeah.
Carlos Hernandez, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, not bad. Chris Bryant, 2 home runs tonight from KMB Squid. All right, KMB Squid.
Hope so.
He's hitting in Coors. I'm sure JT has a million of them.
I hope so.
You know? DFS, see you at the top. Coordinators, Holden, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at the top of my $5 single entry, which is probably a less than $1,000 payout grand prize. But we'll up it on the NFL weekend. I can't wait. I can't wait. Already got most of my NFL entries in there. About 5 quarterbacks this week. JT, how many quarterbacks you got lined down to?
I haven't done a whittle down yet.
When do you do that? When do you throw the pool?
Tomorrow I'll be doing that.
Okay. DC, anything you're thinking? I know your article's coming out tomorrow, so you should plug that. But besides for your article, is there anybody that you're really honing in on that you like right now?
Just to be, I'm pretty try to stay pretty focused on MLB during the week for now. Obviously next week or 2 weeks from now that'll change, but yeah, Saturday is my big NFL day, so I got my article coming out in the afternoon and the show at night. So too early for me to say, but hopefully someone other than Jameis Winston will be my main quarterback.
It's not going to be good for Jameis Winston this week. It's just not going to be good for Jameis Winston going forward.
I fell for the trap one time.
Did you?
In my DFS career last week. It did not go well. Last week? Yeah, it wasn't good.
It's okay. It's almost over. I mean, you won't have to do that again. He might have another good game or two this season, but basically he sucks. He makes horrible decisions, and he continues to do so. So looking forward to that. RPS Heater 25, last time for you. I feel like the people that are here are already members, or they're just have been here for so long that they don't want to bother. Oh, boy. Why is Yastrzemski in play a funny thing, DC? Why is this funny?
It's an inside joke between me and Steve. I don't think we have time for it. It's at least 10 minutes long. So
all right. Well, you know what? If you would have told me 10 minutes ago, I totally would have had you tell the 10-minute story. It would have been amazing, but you're not on Yastrzemski.
It's not actually 10 minutes long. It's just I just can't tell it on the show.
Yeah. RPS Heater 25% off your first month's payment. Baseball winding down. We're still going to have content for the playoffs, though, especially early on, right, guys? I mean, we got Showdown, but we also got nice full slates, full slate. We got 3-game slates. They have the 2-day slates, which I believe are 4 games, right? So there's a lot of fun stuff going on with baseball still. And that's about it. I hope you guys win tonight. Check out our content this weekend. Go to runpuresports.com. Check out the schedule. Again, Sunday mornings, wake up, morning wood. I think they're 9 to 11. They usually 9:30 to 11. Yeah, 9:30
Eastern. Chalk at 9, and then I think they go on at like 10 or 10:30.
Well, they go up until 11, and then me and Tambo and AP and JJ go on at like 11:30, which is fine. I like that show a lot. We only need an hour up to lock. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Helmet Creator in the back, appreciate it. You've done a wonderful job again today for DC, JT. Helmet Creator, get us out of here, you hoser.